Okay, everybody, welcome back to another Bazaar patch notes video, a typical lazy Volf video as we've come to expect. So we have a brand new patch, a lot of big changes. Let's get into it. Here's the initial main patch, and here's a hotfix. Also, my cat, who I love very dearly, and who just received tons of attention, I believe wants more attention, which I'm not really sure how to help her because we snuggled and we played for a good amount of time after work. Anyways, so she's very meowy, I'm sorry. And we're still working on that together as a team. Alright, let's get into it. So, here, overall design goals, I can't really elaborate too crazy. Reduce power level of Stelle, makes sense, she was the best hero in the game. Reduce power level out of combat scaling, so money tree, stuff like that. Which makes sense, money tree was not always the most consistent, but man, when you hit money tree, it felt like nothing beat it. Let's see. Strongest enchants rare. Yeah, like Obsidian is insane. I understand that. Like, I honestly have changed my opinion lately where I feel like Obsidian is actually the best enchant in the game. Even better than like Freeze or Shiny. Maybe not Shiny, because like sometimes Obsidian does really whiff. Like you can have things that are like Obsidian, it's like when you use an adjacent item, deal 20 damage or something bad. Like, and Shiny's usually better because it'll double the effect. I'm saying it's crazy though. Like on anything where you just care about like a raw big number, Obsidian's so freaking good, man. But yes, they are a culprit in making otherwise safe items a problem. I totally get that. Shielded, maybe. I feel like you can make that argument about healing, but I guess shielded it's like you can gain more health, you know, where it's like healing you can restore all day and you can cleanse a bunch, but you're not like gaining permanent like health, quote unquote, you know. Dude, she's really mad. I'm not sure why. Okay. So general changes. Looks like we're going to be seeing a very interesting way of handling rank wins now. So, if you didn't see in my last video, the rank changes involve you only fight players of your rank or lower. So it's going to be really, really nice if you are a brand new bronze player, for example, you're only going to go against other bronze players. So that's awesome, right? So then there's more of like an actual like ELO ranking system where, again, if you're bronze, brand new to the game, first ranked game, you can't go against like a legend player, which is awesome. Additionally, yeah, basically what this is saying, a smoother experience for new players. As they get better at the game, they'll find the rank they belong at. Awesome. Also, now we're going to lose and gain rank points at a higher, I guess, like variety. I don't know how to explain that, which is awesome. Absolutely awesome. So, now, if you're getting 10 wins all the time, which hopefully I do, we'll see, you're going to get 5 points. Or, you know, if you get a 0 win at Diamond, you're going to lose hella points. And whatever. So I think this is interesting. And 5 apparently is the cutoff, which is also interesting because, like, before, you'd only really go up at, like, 4, 7, or 10. Like, there's no other valuable, I would say, like, win cutoff. Whereas now it's like, fighting for an extra win, it's like, oh shit, like, that might actually get me, you know, 5 to 6 is a rank. Or whatever. So I think it's interesting. And it looks like it'll be easier to climb out of like bronze and silver, for example, than it will be for diamond. But if you're a good player and you get 10 wins pretty consistently, you should be climbing very fast. I mean, you should basically climb in like 20 games or less to legend. So very interesting. For me, it's really nice because I don't like grinding a whole lot. So I think I'll get a fair few 10 wins in my time, hopefully. So hopefully I should be, you know, legend before too long. Enchantments, balance stuff. Gold enchants on most items is very interesting. I'm not sure how this will be implemented, I guess, but we'll see. Adjusted deadly enchants. Yeah, deadly enchants is one of the weirder ones in the game, I would say, like where it could have very interesting, inconsistent things. But I've been really liking what they're doing lately with deadly enchants, where it seems like a lot of times if you put deadly enchants on something, it'll be like, give all other items of this type deadly, or stuff like that. I like that. And they're going to make Obsidian enchant rare. It makes sense to me. Like, it's a very, very strong enchant, so see how that impacts things. And then I like, this is kind of interesting. Silver or lower merchants no longer sell enchanted items. Is the armor guy silver? I think so, right? The guy that sells like shield and armor. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. Like the guy, the shield merchant that's pretty common, where you would go there and I feel like so often he would sell you shielded stuff. He's silver, I think, so he can't sell you enchanted. But like, this also kind of makes sense to me from like a thematic perspective. Very interesting. Also, like, might be a reason to even more prioritize like these higher level merchants or these higher rarity merchants. Pricing changes, enchantments no longer double an item's value. I think that's more important for buying than selling. That is interesting. Also, I would say notably, I think that's a little bit of a Mac nerf in the sense that you have a bunch of, small enchanted items, and if you're selling them, it's a little bit less gold. I don't know what this means because when am I buying legendaries, I guess? I mean, you sell legendaries, but when am I really buying them? And this is interesting too. So, legendary items on sale effect, they'll sell for 0. So I would say like the biggest thing for that is, correct me if there's any other examples, but the temple. Like going and getting a jungle ticket, going to the temple, and then there's like 3 relics that when you sell them, they used to give you 50 gold, and you'd get an enchant on something. Now you don't, which is insane, because also like it's an indirect Julian nerf, because Julian works very, 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 very well with jungle ticket, because when you go to jungle ticket, you already get like 50 gold from your like first vault rewards. Then you get the legendary relic at the end, which is like another 50 gold. So your Julian goes up like 100 gold in value, but also you have a really reasonable chance of getting an obsidian enchant on your Julian. So it's definitely like an indirect Julian nerf, I would say. But also it's just crazy how much freaking gold you get from this, so maybe they're just trying to like tone it down a little bit. Interesting. Obstacle course, maybe this is just too consistent. This is the event that gives you a slow item. Not sure really how to evaluate this, but maybe they were just like, oh yeah, you're getting, a few specific items every time. Or maybe if you saw it early enough, you could get like a slow item way out of the curve or something. Not super sure. Prospero, this is like the pig, I believe, econ event. Gold tier, spawns day 5, seems reasonable to me. This was one of the worst events in the game, the tincture one. Now it's double regen, so that's really good in terms of like what it used to be. I still don't know if it's good enough, but it felt really, really bad. It would be like day 1 you would see it, and I think it's equal to your level, so you'd get like 1 regen. Feels pretty bad. You always usually want like a gold option, so mosquito nerf. That should be hopefully a little easier. It's a very hard fight still though. Yeah, a big change in general. So previously, if you had something like a lunchbox and you had a regen skill, you could put the lunchbox on your board. And let's say you had a skill that said like your rightmost item is supposed to regen. Put the lunchbox on your board. Every time you sold something, it would give three like +3 instead of +1. You know what I mean? And so they're fixing that. Or it's like if you had a what's it called? Like a gland from Curio or just a random loot item. You put a gland on board, you sell it, and it's like, oh, like now it doesn't give me 3 regen, it gives me 1. So interesting. It was a cute little interaction that I don't know if everybody knew about, but now it's gone. Free loot item events, scrap, extract should no longer appear on heroes that generally use their output. That's really nice. Definitely makes the loot items even better on heroes like Pig and Mac, because Mac can't get scrap, Pig can't get extracts, I guess Stelle can't get extracts. So it's nice to like actually get usable stuff. Didn't know Hattie had a bug. Didn't know this was a thing, but that's cool. You can access settings from just about anywhere. I read this earlier, I wasn't super sure what it meant. Sped up time between experience, shard hitting player portrait, and game continuing. I don't know exactly what that means. My guess is like every time you finish a monster fight or like you click a new hour, like you have an experience. So maybe that just animation happens a little faster or something. I'm all more like I love that the game is continuously getting faster in terms of like animations and stuff. I was watching some of my old videos and I was kind of surprised. I'm like, wow, this game looks a lot slower. So I was like reminiscing about some builds and stuff. Wanted to look at them, but I'm like, wow, this game feels a lot faster now actually. And then they fixed this chest opening bug and a new loading screen. And I don't know if that means it's going to be like a brand new loading screen that we see every time, or if it's just like, a rotating one that sometimes you see it or sometimes you don't. Mac, Apothecary buff. 5 seconds. That's really interesting. Like, Apothecary is one of those items I've kept in the back of my mind, because I think, is it Classy who puts together like a list of good Mac builds? If so, like, Apothecary was in there of like one of the ones that potentially like could see play. I don't know. I could see like an Apothecary setup where you're like looping it with other, triggers. They also buffed Oil Lantern down here to like 8 seconds, so maybe there's something with like Apothecary Oil Lantern. We'll have to see. Atmospheric Sampler, basically, this is a pretty substantial nerf, but it's still going to be a very good item. I'm interpreting this as it can, like, items can't trigger themselves anymore, basically, which is really good. I mean, I saw somebody like create an infinite off of just like Eternal Torch by itself the other day, so that was really dumb. Black Rose buff. pretty awful item at 8. We'll have to see if it's good at 7, but again, if an item's bad, I'm all for like buffing the numbers a little bit, increase the regen at lower tiers. We'll see. Maybe this sees play and is like a decent little like regen addition to like fill out your kind of like early game, what's it called? Rapid injection system boards or something. Yeah, boiling flask is getting nerfed. My guess is it's just because like bottle explosion is max best build, at least at high levels, so they're nerfing it. Makes sense to me. Cauldron, very, very bad item. Always has been. Let's see, let me actually do not disturb my little notifications here so I don't get a bunch of pings or whatever. Boop. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it was just like, it's just always been a bad item. I mean, even with Flask, so just bad item, let's up it a little bit. Same with Raven, bad item, let's up it a little bit. Death Caps, bad item, up it a little bit. Poison's interesting. So Poison and they're also doing the same thing to Ruby down below, where they're both very, very strong early, and being able to buff like your entire board's burn or poison by substantial amounts is very, very good. And so they're toning that down a little bit, but they're increasing like the base poison of these items, if that makes sense. So they're making the item a little bit like better when it procs, but they're making it a little less impactful for your board, which I think is fair, because like you get like ruby candles, it's ridiculous. It's just crazy how much power this thing can bring early. Same with emerald. Oil lantern's really interesting. Now it kind of has that puffer effect of like buffing burn by numbers each time it levels up, and then also it's going to charge 20% faster. Like instead of taking like 5 regen procs to charge, now it takes 4, so should be a fair bit better. We'll see if it gets play, but I'm kind of optimistic. I don't know. I kind of like how Oil Lantern looks now. Runic Bow has been historically awful. See how it feels at a 6-second cooldown. Maybe it's a little better with like Magic Carpet builds or something like that. Secret Formula, again, we'll have to see how this fits in, but it's nice to see stuff get buffed. Shifting Pan and Tome you're seeing that like regen change from above, where it's like you can't do the regen skill shenanigan. Viper Can gets a little bit of a buff. Weaselpede is interesting, so now instead of like having a very long targeted freeze, you're instead going for like very quick multicast freezes. So also very, very notably good of stuff like Pendulum. But this will be interesting. We'll have to see how like Weaselpede plays out. But it used to be kind of fun to like have it on 6 seconds, but you would just like perma freeze something. It was pretty sick. I'm not going to cover all of them or like talk to in depth, but all the rays are getting, as far as I'm aware, all the rays are getting like a 1-second buff. So we'll have to see how that feels in terms of like maybe rays is back, because I remember like there's been a couple times where the ray synergy was a good setup for Dooley, but they're all getting buffed again, so we'll see. Arc Blaster, we're seeing like a damage nerf, which does suck. Like Arc Blaster can hit pretty hard in the early game, but it's back to 6 seconds, so it's really good as like a charging thing, or maybe with like any tech synergies. Railgun, Barbed Wire gets a little bit of a buff. Battery ammo increases. That's very interesting to me. I think it's going to be really, really hard to burn through all the battery ammo unless you're running something like V-Core. Because like I don't think battery needed an ammo buff. It needed cooldown revert. But it's still a fine item, but it's not like amazing. But if you're running V-Core, that's the one situation where you might run out of ammo, especially earlier in the game. So maybe that's a nice little buff. Again, Ray cooldown. Bulldozer, pretty substantial buffs here. 3570, not bad at all. And the big one is definitely this cooldown. It's only 5%, but it's across every other friend you have, so maybe Bulldozer starts to see some love. I always forget how strong things are. Like they're okay. They're pretty decent at gold, but they get really insane at diamond, or like comparatively. It's pretty good. Chem Snail goes to 8 seconds when you slow charges too. So basically, I guess the vision that it looks like they have for Chem Snail is instead of like before it was like, this is an item that goes up by itself. And it's also like, gets a little bit of love from charge. Now this is more like an item that's like, hey, we want you to spam slow so this thing can go off as much as possible, if that makes sense. So I don't know if it's necessarily better or worse, but it's just like, the ways in which it succeeds change a little bit. Like if you have a bunch of slow and you just need an item to loop a bunch, maybe Chem Snail's crazy. It's like it's like Hamlet, and like Hamlet gets changed. Like these, Hamlet and Chem Snail kind of swap places and effects. Armor Knife gets a little bit of a buff, makes sense. 15's not a lot early. I mean, it's okay early, but it's like not that substantial. Cog, so this is actually huge, and this is going to be a reoccurring theme in these patch notes, is that haste duration. Here's my like thesis on haste, right? 1 second of haste is nice, but it's not insane. 2 seconds is the breaking point in which haste becomes very, very good. Like, if you have a Zoar Sid that's 1 second versus 2 seconds, it's just so night and day. I mean, it's literally double the difference, but like, you really feel it. Like, I feel like that's when haste becomes like sticky, so to speak, in the sense that it's like, it kind of feels like you can keep refreshing that haste. Or it's like if you have a item giving, 1 second of haste, even if it's like to your whole board, it falls off. 2 seconds of haste, that starts to enable like infinite haste scenarios. So I'm a huge fan of seeing like 2 seconds of haste. 3 seconds of haste is one of those ones where it's like a lot of times two is enough, but having three is just nice for like a little bit of extra confidence, or like in those boards where you don't quite have enough haste, if that makes sense. But two is like a huge breaking point for haste. Like 2 seconds on headset is the biggest buff you can have. Zoar Sid, smoke detector, all stuff like that. So I think buffing Cog by a full second takes it from an item that I would honestly only really run at gold to an item that now I'm actually quite happy to pick up and will run a lot early. The way I think about it is it's kind of like a targeted first Aiden. And Aiden you used to run in basically every dually board. So really, really fond of new Cog, and like 2 seconds is a huge deal compared to one. I mean, it's like a 100% increase, but still. LEDs is getting reverted, so again, we might see like more tech spammy builds. Definitely like I don't know. I never really ran it at 6, but now it's gonna go off more. It's gonna charge your core more. I like it. Copper Ed, less of a defensive item. No, it's buffed. Sorry. Yeah, so should be hopefully be a better early game item. I like this because like the only times you're running something like Copper Ed are early game for like a decent amount of poison, or late game when you get the cooldown low enough that it's like just a good item to charge your core basically. So I like the fact that they're trying to like add some strength to it when it shows up. So buff these numbers, seems pretty reasonable to me. Pretty good actually. 5 poison's a fair bit, so I'm not mad at that. Crane damage is increased. This is actually a huge deal in the sense that like, remember that Crane is exponential scaling. I believe it's exponential. I don't know. I haven't used Desmos in a while. But every time, you're multiplying it by 1.4 if you use a medium item, or is it 1.2, 1.4? It's like 1.2, 1.3 at gold, but then it's 1.4, 1.6 at diamond, right? For medium and larges. I don't know. Either way, it's like same with bottled explosion. The higher you can make your base damage on bottled explosion, like the more crazy your doubles and exponential scaling get. So increasing this damage is actually a huge deal because like you increase the floor of this item a ton. So we'll have to see if it's good or not, but maybe this can see some love. Cybersecurity. So I actually ran the math on this today, little Excel sheet. So what's happening is they're lowering the damage you get from weapon and tech buffs, but it does triple damage instead of double. And so what that means essentially is, so at gold tier, if you just look at the damage for each other weapon and tech you have, it's the same damage, like 50 times whatever, regardless how many items you have. At diamond tier, it did used to do more if you're only thinking about how many weapons and techs you have. However, now it scales better from outside sources, if that makes sense. So it's like previously at diamond, it was better like receiving damage from your board. Now it's a little bit worse at diamond receiving damage from your board, but it's better at receiving like stats. So like from weapon core, it's now better, or like from right-handed, left-handed, it's now better, stuff like that. So definitely better at gold. It's like upfront worse at diamond, but if you have a way to scale it, it's better. So interesting change. Defense matrix, cooldown to 5 was 4. Haste, yeah. We'll have to see how this plays, but like being able to haste 2 adjacent items for 2 seconds is not bad, like at gold tier. We'll have to see if this sees play, but interesting. I didn't know this was a property, but I think it's funny. I like the flamethrower change. It just makes it more like, if you don't have any way to boost the damage, I would assume it just kind of feels like a dead item. So it's cool that they're at least making it more feel like an item, I guess. Increase the forklift scaling at diamond, so maybe it's a better late game solution. Ray, Hamlet basically became like how Chemsnail worked. So Hamlet actually has reasonably high base damage. So now it's like, instead of Hamlet being like this crazy like cycle when you slow charge an item, it's more like, it's a little more chill, goes off more in the early game. But also if you have slow, it'll charge a lot, Hover tech. I'm trying to remember what that is. Let me look real quick. Hover tech. Okay, this is what I thought it was. This is an item that I've always thought was really, really, really cool, but I've never found like a way to use it. But I think it's really interesting. Like, I don't know. It's cool. So we'll have to see how this is, but substantial buff for sure, especially at silver tier. So interesting. Ice 9000 gets a scaling increase. Yeah, we'll have to see how good that is, but I think I'm glad to see like the less good items are getting buffed. Induction Aegis, it's kind of the same as Copperhead, where it's like you run it either for speed or early game, and it's like early game, the numbers weren't that insane. 5 burn is a lot better than 2, obviously. I mean, it literally goes from 3 net damage to 15 every time it goes off, so substantial. Isocoric looks kind of cracked to me now. So now it's scale. So at Diamond, it's going to be 4-second cooldown, and it'll always be freeze an item with with a cooldown of 5 seconds or less for 2 seconds. Very good. If this thing's at 4 seconds, or like you can always run this with like the core build. So fast, so good. I really like this. I think it's better to have it be a little faster, even if it freezes like less at the high end. I think it's really good. Laser pistol, it's still 5 seconds, so might as well up the damage a little bit, make it more fair, reasonable. Microdave is another one of those items that's kind of getting like a semi-directional change where it's like, I was doing a little time check. Oh, you guys can't see that, but I can. So now instead of like it'll loop way more, but the base value is worse. So it might be a little worse in the early game. Maybe not. I mean, it's pretty comparable to 6, for example, but it's gonna go off way more. So late game, this might actually be a really cracked thing to run with like Ignition or something. Normally I'd like just running Ignition by itself, but this might be a good thing to run to the right of Ignition, for example. So, but yeah, at these higher tiers, it's going to loop like crazy. So very interesting change to Dave here. Missiles now gets damage scaling, which I think will be really, really good. Either using like that with weapon core, or you can still just use it to the left of like cores, get a bunch of charge, but then also you're like, hey, I also get a ton of damage. So that could be really nice. Monitor Lizard was kind of an underperformer, so they're buffing it. Ray. The air conditioner gets an extra target at all ranks. That's pretty good. Plasma rifle, that's the one that's like when you burn, gain damage, gets a second buff. Power sander gets a haste buff. Again, you know how I feel about 2 seconds. This item becomes a lot better to just run on board at any given time, especially at bronze. Bronze and silver are going to feel way better to just run this on board. Propeller hat, bug fix. Pylon's kind of getting a directional shift where now it's like, so see now Pylon, it's like you don't get this haste increase. So to really crack this thing, I think you're going to need to go to Curio and get rocket boots, make this thing haste for 2 seconds. But I mean, it's still, if you can do that, it's kind of crazy. It's going to be like Solar Farm, where at higher ranks, it's going to slow more and more things, and it's going to haste a lot of things, especially if you do slowing spam. We'll have to see. I haven't run Pylon in a while, but it's one of those items I feel like could be really good in the right circumstances for sure. Pyrocarbon gets a buff. Very interesting. That was another item that it was like, oh, it's really good, but you need to go to Curio, get rocket boots for, or the Aparo guy. Either or. Like, however you get rocket boots. Now, this is good. Like, Pyrocarbon is a crazy, crazy item. Like, the amount of haste you get out of that thing is just ridiculous. Like, if I'm thinking the right thing, right? Let's go back. Let's go Pyro. Yeah, like, this thing is so freaking good, man. It really is. It really is. Run this with, like, Ignition Core, or, like, really good next to, like, the, Firefly. All very good. Railgun, increasing the damage and before, so now it's like, the quest is buy 8 techs, get multi. I think Railgun's going to actually be really good. I'm kind of a believer here, especially because they're adding, like, they're making all the techs better, right? They're making Arc Blaster better again, stuff like that. So, like, Railgun might be a sleeper that could actually be really, really good. 10 techs is crazy, but multicast after 8 techs might be doable. I don't know. Rex Specs is a little better. Rocket Launcher, again, they're making it better in the late game. Rocket Launcher is already a very, very good early game dually item in my opinion, but now it's like the burn skill's a little bit better. More meaningful silver upgrade is probably the biggest like change I see here. I don't really care that it falls off. I don't think you typically run this late. Satcom, this is the one that gives you dually friends. This doesn't matter, you rarely run this on board, but it's interesting that it was bugged at 2225. Bug fix. V-Core, my love, is getting a buff. Love to see that. This is my favorite dually core by far. Maybe Ignition. I do love me some Ignition, but love to see it go back to its good old days. I love just charging like a bullshit win condition on the right of this thing. So good to see. Love to see it at 4 seconds. Hopefully see the core come back. Thermal Lance. Give it the scaling it needs. Not the best item ever, but let's buff it up. I want to run some Thermal Lance though, man. I don't ever really get to run this thing. To like, I've never got this to like 10 wins. I really want to. Pulse Rifle was arguably like not the best, but one of Dooley's best items. Maybe the best, especially if you added that diamond. It was just so many freaking core procs. And they always seem to like go back and forth on this. It's gaining the tech type back, but now it's like the cooldown's weird, and then it's like they got reverted, right? It's very interesting. But yeah, it was so good at higher tiers just for the amount it would go off and the amount of procs you'd get. So again, reverted, and it's tech again. So I feel like they're going to bounce back and forth on this forever. But again, this is really, really freaking good for railgun. Gravwell, wasn't seeing a lot of love. See a buff. Dude, I want to see Party Float get buffed, man. What the hell? Welding Torch, buff. Again, lesser seen item. Z Shield, cooldown. So, like, they're changing both these Z items to, like, lower the stats but increase the cooldown. Or, sorry, lower the stats, decrease the cooldown. So, we'll have to see if these see more play. I've always been a big, like, enjoyer of Z Sword, so we'll see if these end up, like, coming to fruition, but maybe they are. I don't know. I feel like the stat, I don't know, that's like a ton of freeze though. So Atlas Stone Fix, Balcony starts at gold, which means it's now more like a build defining item. Makes sense to me. Brass Knuckles is more of a cooldown item than like a damage killing item. That also makes sense to me. Bug Fix, Cash Cannon. Yeah, it's like it started at 1, and I don't think that scaled enough. Cash Cannon can be like low-key a menace. Maybe I'm crazy. I kind of think it's comparable to like Box Cutter in a way, where it's like, but now the base damage is a lot higher, where it's like throughout the game as Pig, you know, it's going to gain like 10-ish damage at the start of every day due to your income plus other ways. You might be gaining like 20, 30 damage on this thing a day. That's not that bad, man. I don't know. I might be a glazer of the cannon, but it might be kind of good now. I want to see that. Cold Room is back to silver, which I think is really interesting. Also, what? Wait. Okay, my mic died. So Cold Room is actually getting reworked. I misread this earlier. So 6-second cooldown. It's also silver. Freeze 1, 2, 3 items for 1 second. When you use an adjacent tool or property, charge this. And when you freeze, you gain regen. So this is interesting. So now it's more about like using adjacent things. But I also think it's interesting because like this starts at silver again. So if you're trying to build freeze, it kind of felt like every freeze item starts at gold, so it's kind of hard to assemble. Might be easier to assemble now. We'll have to see how this works. I would say it's really, really good of Snow Globe, which I believe is a property. Maybe it's not. If maybe I'm just trolling, or maybe I don't know. There's something that's got to work well with. There's like boxing glove or whatever that thing is. I don't know. But interesting. We'll have to see how that plays out. Dog nerf, understandable. I still think it'll be quite good, and I still think it's quite fair with this like quest. I also like the toys like flavor. But yeah, this seems fair. Cooldown nerf, quest nerf seems really reasonable. This item was very, very strong. Fixer upper might be back at 4 seconds. Grindstone to 3. And if the weapon to the left has a cooldown over 5 seconds, it's +1 multi. Grindstone might be nuts. We'll have to see, but like I can imagine running this thing on like a flail that goes off at 7 seconds. You get 4 procs of Grindstone, which could be crazy. Maybe not, but like early game, this thing might be a house. We'll have to see. Hot Stones gets a little buff. Love to see it, but they're lowering the numbers. I'm good with that. But I like good quick items, so definitely better for like Matchbox, I would say. Investment Pitch got gutted, so then you can't do crazy double shenanigans. You give 10 value to your whole board, which is nice, but it's not like as broken as it was before, where you would like double the value of your money tree or whatever. Seems reasonable. Jabalian Drum haste duration changed to 2 seconds. Again, you know how I feel about 2 seconds of haste, and it's only the damage that changes, so Jabalian Drum might be a lot better. Again, 2 seconds of haste is a huge deal. Keychain, sure, bug fix. Landscraper gets a buff. This might be the Landscraper meta. Tent gets kind of killed. This seems reasonable though. I mean, especially if you had like belt on board, it would be like, oh, I died. Let me full heal. Or I guess it was up to half, right? But it's like 8,000 health. It's like, let me die. Oh, here's 4,000 more health. It was kind of crazy. So it seems reasonable. Still a very strong item. I mean, giving multicast is very good. Model ship to silver makes sense. Money tree to 5 makes sense. So it doesn't really get hit too hard, minus cooldown, but we'll have to see. It might be a lot harder to scale value on this thing. Pickles launcher's back, so maybe we're trying to see like more small weapon and toy spam, especially considering we have that plus model ship. Slingshot. Sorry, I skipped Regal Blade. Regal Blade gets better quest. Yeah, like these quests are still so freaking hard. This one especially, I think is the hardest. Like 8 properties is doable. It sucks. 10 fucking apparels is so hard for no reason. How do you get 10 apparels? That shit takes forever. So hopefully it's a little better. Hopefully it sees a little bit of love. And it's based on all the items value. Pretty interesting. We'll have to see how it is. I don't know. I want to see at least this be like playable. Slingshot starts at 2 ammo. That's a very big upgrade. A lot of times, like Slingshot hits really hard at bronze. Really freaking hard. but it runs out of ammo. So unless you had like another toy, and it used to be yo-yo, but you can't go yo-yo bronze now. Like unless you have another toy, this thing just depletes so fast. So getting 2 ammos, like it does kind of double its efficiency at bronze and early tiers. So seems pretty reasonable, especially again since it lost like yo-yo. Spiky shield kind of gets like a semi-redesign. Very interesting to me. Less shield, which I'm glad. This was a weird thing to be scaling. Cooldown goes down, so maybe you have like crazy landscaper one-shots now or something. We'll have to see. Very interesting though. Let's see. Textiles is interesting. You could still use this in like a very similar manner, or if you have like a bunch of random like heal stuff, you could charge stuff, but textiles was broken, so it makes sense. Remove some of the targeted charging. Truffles, okay. Helm, this kind of makes sense. Again, this is one of those items where it's like, why does it go up in numbers? It's so slow. So now it's a little faster, and the numbers go up. Well, no, the numbers stay the same. I'm sorry. Vineyard buff, interesting. VIP pass rework. I would say it's like pretty comparable to Pen FT now. So that's awesome because, again, they're really lowering that out of combat scaling. So it's like, yeah, it goes 5 seconds, more haste, but the value only increases in combat. It's a weird buff, but it's actually a buff. Only time I think we'll see a buff by removing ammo. Firecrackers goes to 5, which is kind of fun. I like this item. I got so scared, but flare gun isn't changed. Maybe just like a ammo item bug thing. Flashbang gets a nerf, makes sense. This item's crazy. It's again, it's kind of like, especially if it's hasted, it was basically like at gold, you know, it's like perma-slowing your opponent's board, one item solution for a small, pretty crazy. Diamond nerf to diamond, and then also the cooldown stuff makes sense. Or hangers, just so freaking broken. Was arguably Stelle's best item. Hammer kind of stings, but I think it's right. Hammer was very, very strong, and it's just crazy to be able to upgrade something so easily. So I understand it. It hurts, but I understand it. Bug fix. Hydraulic squeezer was bugged, so hopefully it works properly now. Lava roller adjusted properly. That makes sense. It was always weird to me where it'd be like, yeah, double your burn, and then, or like, it would be like burn and then destroy to double your burn. This makes way more sense logistically. And it gets a 1 second cooldown buff, so maybe this is good. We'll see. And actually, I believe gets hot fixed above, so we'll see. Launch towers gets a pretty brutal nerf. It's kind of gotten like that rigged treatment of like, it has to be the first time you use an item. So before you could use like this plus runabout to like have instant flight on all your stuff. Now it's like at least something has to go off before you get flight on everything. Makes sense. Lightning Rod sees some internal cooldown changes, which is amazing because I feel like this thing goes off so damn fast. If that's how I'm reading that properly. Lunchbox, again, regen skill stuff. Orbital Polish is surprising to me. I didn't feel like it was that much of an overperformer. I actually felt like I ignored it a fair bit of the time, and it was really hard to pull off. Maybe it's just the style builds I play. I didn't feel like Orbital Polisher was that crazy. Now I feel like it's like borderline unplayable. Oxygen Mask is pretty interesting. I don't know if that'll be good enough or not, but 50% increase at all ranks. Healing Tank, this is kind of crazy. I feel like I remembered Healing Tank exists, and it's like a 4 second item, right? Like, I don't know. I feel like maybe I sleep on this thing, and maybe I'll try running it now, but that's a lot of healing. 3 vehicles, 4 seconds, 225 healing. That's pretty good, dude, for a medium. I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, but maybe we're sleeping on the oxygen tank, man. Runabout gets gutted. If you have like this plus Ornithopter or whatever, like late game you can still get this, you know, down to 1 second. So it can still be like a great way to be like a final build, but it's not going to be as good as like oh, this is my insane mid-game thing that just wrecks everybody for free. It's going to be a little bit worse in the mid. It's still very playable, I think, but it's not going to be as dominant. Rivet gun nerf, you hate to see it. Now it just gets cooldown, but it always self-charges to 2. Seems reasonable. I think that makes it a little bit better silver. Yeah, it makes it a little bit better silver, but it's definitely worse at higher ranks. Definitely worse at gold and diamond than it was on fort, but I understand. Rivet gun was crazy. Sandbags, dude, sandbags looks like nasty now to me. Is this crazy? So like, a bunch of vehicles start flying, so it's multiple, but also whenever something starts flying, it charges it. Oh, okay. Earlier it said 2 seconds, so maybe they changed it. Okay, that's interesting. So now you can't. You used to be able to do like infinites with sandbags in Paper Airplane, where Paper Airplane's cooldown was low enough, and it would start flying. You would like charge it, and especially if it had shiny, it would like fly, stop flying, flying, something like crazy, and then you'd be like infinite. So I think they're trying to prevent that from happening. Very interesting. Not sure if this is good enough, but it's better for like those wide vehicle boards. Maybe it's good for something like, runabout, as mentioned earlier, to like it be the accelerator now instead of like launchpad. Siren was like the worst Stelle item in the game. I'm sure this is supposed to be like 765. So it just gets a buff. We'll see if this gets play. I don't know if it will, but it was genuinely one of the worst items in the game. Solar Drone, kind of weird that it was a vehicle. Gives a little buff, makes sense. It was a pretty underperformer. I would run it a couple times in the early game, but it's not amazing. Squirrel Suit gets a buff. The big one, dude, I'm just saying, as someone who's made a career off of sometimes playing medium items that can deal 50% of somebody's health at Diamond and destroy, maybe there's a chance. However, Obsidian is also rarer now, so it's like, this would be scarier if Obsidian was easier to obtain. Dude, they should bring Keg back. No, because Keg can crit, where this can't crit. Never mind. Wrecking Ball gets a little bit of a buff. Yeah, it was really strong, especially with the shiny stuff, and then it was like kind of an underperformer, so bring it back. Anchor gets a buff. I think this is due in part. So like Anchor is actually kind of a slept-on item, but I think now that Obsidian's hard to obtain, it makes sense to kind of like buff a little bit. But it's still very good. Like it's gonna go off like every 5 seconds at Diamond. If it crits, it does 60% of your opponent's health. Pretty good. I don't know. Don't sleep on Anchor, but again, maybe it's not as good as I'm thinking because you can't get Obsidian anymore. A little blowgun buff, love to see it. I don't know, maybe blowgun's crazy now? I don't know. I want to see what diamond blowgun feels like. Butterfly swords, I basically never run this item, but maybe I do it 7 seconds. Especially at higher tiers, you get so many multis. Cyber Size is very interesting. Drop it to 3 seconds. The damage never mattered, but you get way more invuln charges too. So maybe with Cyber Size, especially if you get it fast enough, put it next to like Star Chart and Captain's Wheel, you can start getting like 5 seconds straight of invulnerability at Diamond or something. I don't know. Cyberside might be worth an experimentation now. We'll have to see, but it could be cracked. Like maybe you can run like Cyberside and some other setup shenanigans as a way to kind of like imitate what's that item called? The one that makes you invuln for the first like 8 seconds or whatever. Very interesting. Angler. Cooldown. Okay, so Angler's going to be better. It's going to charge more, especially at Diamond. Totally fine with that. Eels gets a huge damage buff. We're going to see how that plays in, but that's a shit ton of damage. Flagship. That's really fucking good, especially like early. Oh, Flagship. They're going to lower the damage, but the cooldown gets decreased. So Flagship will be a lot better. Maybe we see like one weapon Vanessa come back even harder. There's already some fast-ass flagships out there, man. That's scary that this thing gets cooldown. We'll see, though. Kusari gets a cooldown buff, but it no longer slows. But the scaling's back. That's really interesting. I wonder if this means it doesn't slow by itself, or it just means it doesn't scale off of slowing. I think it's it doesn't slow it, but I think it's going to be still quite good. Because, like, Kusari is crazy, not because of, like, the slowing it gives. I mean, it's nice. It's crazy because it's trained on a stick. I think Kusari is kind of like low-key insane again. I mean, the slow it gives is nice, but that wasn't why you ran it. I think this item's kind of crazy again. Mantis Shrimp is back, Richardson's back, Saltclaw's back. Love to see that. These items are underperformers. Again, you really want to see all types of builds be strong. Like, you want to see aquatics be good, you want to see weapons be good, you want to see everything be good on Vanessa. Like, I don't know. You want to have everything feel about right, so you can run anything and have it feel good. So hopefully this stuff makes it that way. Julian nerf. Love to see it. Starts at silver, it's a little less consistent. And always, the minimum cooldown is going to be 9 seconds at diamond. Love to see it. This item got gutted not only from cooldown, but rarity, and also the jungle. So, probably see Julian be a lot less good. Puffer. Jungle actually probably gets better now. Like, a lot better, because it's so much harder to get Obsidian enchants, that now the jungle will probably be, like, the best way to get Obsidian, I just realized. Okay. Thought about that. Puffer gets a huge buff. This one's for you, Trickster. Again, more scaling, more charge. It's going to be a lot better. A lot of times when you're running Puffer, I feel like you're hitting internal cooldown, but now you're going to hit internal cooldown, and it's actually going to go off more, if that makes sense. So it's like, your Puffer's just going to be 25% more efficient. Or is that 30? Is that a 1/3? I don't know. It's way more efficient. Sea Dogs is way better now, so maybe we can see Sea Dogs play again. Stealth Glider. I didn't realize it was disabled. But, yeah. I guess it's back. So Stealth Glider is the item I was trying to think of early. Submarine is now crazy. It's like a katana at diamond. So we'll see, but it's like the damage is lower, but it decreases cooldown. So especially like gold, you know, next to like Captain's Wheel, next to like Hasten Cloak, like it's very interesting. It could be kind of a house as like a one weapon thing. We'll have to see. But I'd love to see that like if an item isn't great, because I thought Submarine was one of the worst items in the game, or at least for Vanessa, they buff it. So Torpedo, up the scaling at higher ranks, drop the ammo. Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't really a torpedo believer last patch, but maybe it's a little bit better now. Zorcid or Zorkid, I always call it Zorkid, but goes down to 6 seconds, which is interesting. It's kind of back. Oh, earlier it said it was silver, so maybe it's still bronze. Wait, this is insane. Did they did they make this item cracked again? Wait, if this thing is still bronze, this is broken. The damage doesn't matter, and it's what? So like the high end is worse, but 6 seconds, haste 2 seconds. You run this on every Vanessa board. If it's bronze, earlier it said it was silver. If it's silver, you still run this on every Vanessa board. Even if you don't have burn, this is a crazy item. This is like Vanessa's best item, arguably. Maybe I'm tripping, but disgusting item. Ugh. Ugh. Again, you know how I feel about 2 second haste. Citrus Gland nerf. Again, going back to the skill stuff. Scythe goes down to 7 seconds. So not only now is Scythe extremely playable, because 7 seconds you do a third of your opponent's max HP, which is crazy. Can still crit. The guy who you fight, like the Lich Reaper guy, just became a house, dude. Because previously he would kill you after like 20 seconds, you know, assuming you didn't heal. Now he has a Scythe at 7 seconds and another one at 11. So like the Grim Reaper dude, whatever, is gonna be a freaking hard ass fight, man. Because he has a Scythe that crits, so he's gonna like 2-tap you and like full heal, and you're gonna be dead at like 11 seconds. That's crazy. Hands of Time. Not actually sure what this is. I'm too lazy to look it up, but cool. Skills, Advanced Synthetics, dually only, starts at Silver Tool, tier. Okay, sounds good. They removed it from Stelle. I wonder if you can just upgrade better and better things. If you get it at Silver, you upgrade bronzes maybe. Then maybe at Diamond it upgrades silvers, or Gold it upgrades silvers, and Diamond it upgrades golds. That'd be actually a very good skill. We'll have to see. Precision. Okay, bug fix. So there's a couple new Stelle skills, which I think is interesting. And I think the way you can think about it is it's interesting because it enables like new synergies, or you can think about it as a way to like if there was 1 or 2 really, really, really good Stelle skills, it removes some consistency from hitting them. But bombs away, use a vehicle or drone, burn 1, 2, 3. I really like this. I think it's fun and cute. Hot air as well. First time you burn, stuff starts flying. I like these. They seem very thematic. I really like playing burn Stelle. I'm with it. Equivalent exchange. Okay, fixed. Expert pilot. This is one of Stelle's best skills. I mean, it was broken as fuck. So now, it's like it's gonna be really, really good early. Like this is a fair bit of damage and shield. I don't know. I mean, like on Kara, I'm trying to think of like other early game really good vehicles, but Kara, you know, the damage is gonna be really nice. But yeah, this thing was broken. It was arguably the best skill on Stelle late game. It's a lot less worse now, or a lot worse now, because like 60%. Oh my gosh, it was crazy. Focus Strike, Vanessa only is interesting. This was one of the worst skills in the game, but now if you have exactly 1 weapon, its cooldown is reduced. So now you have Silencer the skill, and it's not when your enemy is a slow item. That's pretty good, dude. I feel like that's pretty crazy. Maybe Crow's Nest boards are back, especially if you get Radiant. Like your odds of getting Radiant have gone up because Obsidian chances got lowered this expansion, or this patch, whatever. Could be interesting. Maybe 1 weapon's back. Bug fix. Noisy Cricket gets a slight buff. Sure. It always feels kind of bad when things scale by only 5, because like when you want to buy an upgrade, you're like, wow, it's only 5. Scaling by 10 just makes more sense. Searing Flames. One of your burn items gains haste. Oh, okay, gotcha. So bad skill gets buffed. Steel Storm. I understand it. I blame 610 for this one because he was watching my stream when I had this crazy Steel Storm build, but it was very strong. For me, it's a little surprising because I felt like it was strongest at silver, and like it's good if you get upgrades, but like really it's like kind of broken at silver. Just getting the skill in general, and you're gonna see it more at silver than not. But maybe they felt otherwise, and like the testers felt otherwise. But you hate to see Vanessa get nerfed, but I understand. And Streamline Weapon also gets a lot better. So now, oof, especially if you have a Hastened Cloak, Whenever something gains haste, it gains damage. That's really good. Because, like, the condition made it really bad, like, before. Like, conditional having haste. But now that it's just whenever you gain haste, I feel like Streamline is going to be broken. Maybe I'm crazy, but, like, you're going to run into somebody having this plus Katana, it's going to feel horrible. Maybe not. Maybe it's not broken, but... Alright, let's check out the hotfix. Slowest scroll of my life. I guess I gotta hit, like, all the way up. Okay. Ballista, change to 50 damage was 40. When you haste, this gains more damage. Always intended, missed the original update. Cool. Sweet. So, again, like a bad kind of win con on dually gets buffed. Launch tower, bug fix, which is awesome. Maybe they missed a ray or something. Oh, no, beta ray maybe it was just too strong. Is that the one that's... Is it the freeze one? I bet it's the freeze one. Yeah, that makes sense. So it's probably just too strong at 6. That makes sense, though. Freeze is going to be the best ray. Double whammy fix. Covetous Thief. Grindstone, already too strong. A bit too much on the non-pig heroes this early in the runs, and way too consistent. That makes sense. So that's really funny. So Grindstone will be really good item on pig, but I love that it's removed from all other characters for being too strong. It's pretty funny to me. Mariana's no longer slow and steady. Makes sense because, yeah, Eels just got buffed, and Eels is going to hit really fucking hard. So they don't scale anymore, but I still think this fight's going to be really, really hard. A lot of times you pull up to this fight with like 700 health, 7 Eels procs, like that's not unreasonable. I feel like Mariana's is going to be still really fucking hard. Heat shield turned off for a bug, sure. Lava roller gets reverted. Apparently it was buffed maybe too much. Maybe destroy Stelle is legit. Bug fix, bug fix, bug fix. Yeah, so that's the patch. I hope you guys enjoyed these notes. I would just say a lot of item changes. I'm excited to get in there and mess around in the Bazaar. Hope you guys enjoyed the new patch. Hope these patch notes brought, value to your life, or if they didn't, I'm sorry, but that's how it goes. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'm going to go live very, very soon. I'm going to upload this probably at like 6:20 Pacific time, and I'll be live at 6:30 Pacific time. So if you guys want to check this out, come watch me stream. I'll be going until 8:30 Pacific time. Have a good one, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Excited to try the new patch. Take care, everybody. I'm just trying to get this